Guys, this is Healthy Life Designing. Oh my gosh, so many great things have been happening on the show this year. Not only did we make it through the past in the 2020, but 2021 is turning out to be pretty amazing. Some of the guests that we have been finding are so amazing, inspiring, creative, gorgeous, talented, and not to mention a ton of knowledge, which is exactly what we have today. Our guest, Ashley Koff, is a registered dietitian. She is an author, a speaker, and she is also the founder of a brand new program called the Better Nutrition Program. Please stick around because Ashley is going to be joining us talking about her history as a registered dietitian, how to better your own health with a personalized plan, and how doctors, practitioners, and others can become affiliates of her program as well, all to help you find better health. Please stick around.
Hi, I'm Amanda Wattenberg, Regional Director at Ohio Guidestone. Do you or does someone you know have a substance abuse disorder? Have you been thinking about getting help, but don't know where to start? It takes a lot of courage to ask for help, but it's the most important step you can take. If you think you know everything that's available in Fairfield County, think again. Like other chronic diseases, addiction can be managed successfully. Treatment enables people to counteract addiction's powerful, disruptive effects on the brain's behavior and regain control of their lives. Even if it takes multiple attempts, treatment does work and people do recover from addiction every day. So keep trying because your life matters. You matter, and we're here to help. Call 211 and ask for the treatment resources available right here in Fairfield County.
This message is brought to you by the Fairfield County Adam H. Board.
Hey guys, we're back. This is Healthy Life Designing. We have Ashley Koff now joining us. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me. This is going to be fun.
Yeah, we were talking that you and I both live apparently in areas where the Wi-Fi isn't the best, and we're wondering if this was even going to happen today.
That's right. I know Columbus, Ohio weather, I jokingly refer to it as a menopausal woman at this time of the year because it's just like, yes. It's hot, it's cold, it's all that stuff. And I'll take the heat, but like the wind and these other pieces, who knows?
Yes. Oh my gosh. I love that. That's hilarious. Well, could you tell us how your journey started? You've been in the health and wellness industry for well over 20 years. You've got piles of experience and knowledge, but where did the journey start for you?
Sure. So I grew up here. My dad is a pediatric surgeon at Children's, and I was not at all on the nutrition path. In fact, probably personally, I was more on I've got this belly, let me try all these diets to try to remove it. But then when those didn't work, I was kind of like, well, I'm just going to eat like my brothers and play a lot. We'll see what happens. Right. But I was definitely not focused on nutrition. And in fact, I wanted to be Angela Bauer from Who's the Boss. She was my idol. I used to watch TV. And then I would also, when my mom was saying like between the shows, when the commercials were on, hey, now you need to go do something for me. I'm like, no. I have to watch the commercials because someday I'm going to make those. So that was my first job. I went and made commercials for sugared cereals that I sold helped sell in the US and then around the world. So definitely not a starting path towards, helping the world get healthier or, talk about nutrition. And my personal journey was definitely a key part of this. I mentioned a belly and it bothered me in college. And, I learned a lot of like not healthy behaviors there, kind of, do you just not eat or do you only eat candy or do you, just different things, right? But what really happened in my 20s when I was working in advertising was crippling anxiety, horrible bowel bloating issues. None of this, by the way, anyone was tying together. It was all like, oh, you need a therapist for this. And, they'd look at my digestive system and say I was healthy, but none of it was coming together. Right. So I'm sure that I'm not the only one that this has been the case for. And, as I was working, I ended up outside of work having a personal awakening moment of trying all these different things. Nothing worked for me. So I just thought I was a bad dieter. I was trying all these different food plans. And my lowest moment, embarrassed to admit it, but I did a 7-day goat's milk only cleanse. Like that's what it was so disgusting, right? I
Oh
mean, the
my
things
gosh.
that we do to try to make ourselves better, right? Like it
Yes.
just is crazy. Just so much on that part. So I share that because I always want people to know that I understand we do things out of desperation. And what I
Right.
was really honestly desperate with at that point, this was the mid 90s, was there was nobody who had ever asked me, and nobody who had sat down and asked me questions about my health as a child. So the fact that I was on antibiotics all the time,
Right.
or, what I was choosing to eat, what my digestion was like. So I ended up ultimately meeting an integrative gastroenterologist who helped me. And when they helped me, I was in this really interesting point of like kind of being done selling sugared cereals. I'd moved to work for the Kaiser Family Foundation, and I was helping them with public education campaigns. And I was like, you know what? We need a public education campaign around nutrition, right? This is 1997, 98,
Oh, yeah.
So that was when I went back school to become a dietitian. And the whole way through becoming a dietitian, I even had I was like, this is not for me, because even learning to become a dietitian, what people were not, that what we were learning was actually not personalized nutrition. And that was always my focus. I always wanted to know, specifically what's going on for you. Like, doesn't matter what's going on for me. I got to know, what you like. So that's how I ended up becoming a dietitian. And fun fact, my first job, because I decided to move out to Los Angeles to train, my first job was working with my first client was an 18-year-old. She had won a Golden Globe that year, and a mutual friend had referred her to me. Come on, I was definitely not Hollywood celebrity nutritionist, at that point. But it was really interesting to start off there at the same time that I was working at County Hospital with people who had no insurance, no money, and starting to see how it just doesn't matter. Any of that stuff doesn't matter. We all have to assess where we're at and what our bodies need to help us figure out how to get better.
Exactly. And then, so what came next?
Well, what came next, when you're in LA, when you're entrepreneurial, a lot of things just roll all into one. I will tell you this. What did not come next was a social media plan. What did not come next was, I'm going to be a blogger or an influencer or whatever. None of that existed, thankfully. What came next was I would start working with clients and they would get really good results. And then they would tell their doctor, or they would tell their friends. So I had a very busy practice. Super lucky to work with, heads of states, heads of countries. I worked with pro athletes. I've worked with performers. Sometimes that's fun because they invite you to their show, but sometimes it's also not fun because they see you at an event and they're like, what's my nutritionist doing here?
Yes.
That kind of thing. But it's really cool. And a lot of learning. I've always stayed an active learner because it's not that nutrition changes that much. But what I was realizing was the way nutrition was getting served up was changing. So all these different supplements, right? All these different types of foods, all these different supplements in foods and things like that. So I always wanted to know about that part so that I could help show my clients what's better for them. I could say to you, I used to be able to say to you, oh, well, take this fish oil. Well, there's gazillions of fish oils out there now. Like, how do you know which one is better? So I actually launched a nonprofit, not a company, but a nonprofit where I ended up vetting over 100,000 products, what the ingredients that were in those products and their marketing messages. Because remember, I sold sugared cereals. So I was like, hey, I want to be able to tell you. And to this day, you can still see, if you see a Perfect Bar, or you see Smarty Pants vitamins or some of these, you'll flip in it and you'll see my Ashley Koff approved logo, which pre-existed, anyone approving things or these other third-party logos. And I spent quite a lot of time doing that piece. And then I got very interested in helping the media, so doing television. So I did the first, when the Huffington Post launched, I marched right in and we did the Huffington Post. I took them to Good Morning America and created a makeover, because I said, all these makeovers I've been doing, they're not really like that. They're not that helpful. Could we do a real behind the scenes, better energy makeover and look at, what you have to think about in terms of your, what devices are on at night, or not just what foods you're taking, but how does it all come together?
Yes.
So those were always my favorite things to do, whether it was in the media or whether it's working with brands or whether working with individuals. always focusing on personalized nutrition. How do I help you understand what your body needs to run better and what you want to reduce or avoid that can disrupt it? And then how do we deliver that? You know, what's going to be delicious? What's affordable? What are you going to get in most often? You know, those kinds of things.
What are some of the things that would come up that you find that people struggle with the most when trying to stick to a diet, a plan, just a plan in general? Because I know with my clients, it doesn't seem to be consistent across the board. People struggle with just having a meal plan, or I can't stick to that, or that's too overwhelming, or grocery store tours. Just the things that I've seen. But from your experience, what do you think has been some of the biggest struggles?
Yeah, I love that question, because in that question is the answer, right? What happens is there's always a point, and it might be the day after, and I'll explain what I mean in that, or it might be 3 months after, when we commit to doing something where it doesn't work, or it's not easy, or something comes up to compete. And part of it is that we can't create a static plan that we follow. So what I always found that the struggle was to help people understand that there's work in getting and staying healthy. However, there's also things that don't work. So what I want to focus on is helping you do what can feel like hard work sometimes, making it better, making it easier. And the way that we do that is we do what I call scenario storming. Like, so I want to know in your week what's coming up. Because the reality is it may be that it's going to be better for you to order food at 10 a.m. and know that you have something for 6 p.m. than to have like a kitchen stocked of healthy foods that you're just not going to get over there to. And then at 6 p.m., not only are you not going to get into it, you're going to order something not good for you at 6 p.m. Or you're going to order something, maybe the compromise would be to know what to order, that you then have some stuff at home that you can make it healthier with, right? Better for you. I don't even love the word healthier, but better for you. So the reality is, like, I think of our journeys from a health standpoint, and I think of myself much more like an Uber or a Lyft driver. So I got to come meet you right where you are. Yes. And you're going to tell me where you want to go. We might chat about it, but you're going to tell me where you want to go. Now, my job is to tell you, well, hey, there's several different routes that are here. We may even decide to go on a route, but we've all been in those cars before, used to, been in those cars before. And suddenly they say, oh, you know, it comes up and it's like, it's 30 minutes faster this way because now the freeway's closed. We're going to do that way. So I had a client, you know, pops to mind right now, who came to me, who was like, this is the year I'm doing it. This is the year that I am going to, I think it was an Ironman that she wanted to be doing, an Iron Woman. And she literally, we went through the whole plan. We mapped out when we're going to work together, what she's going to get started with. She called me the next day and she had, I want to say it was like something, she had busted her kneecap or something, but basically done, right? Yes. Like done, just like this. So I was like, okay, so nothing that we went over, nothing applies to this situation.
It's a wash. Yes.
Yeah. So I've had other people where they start, you know, working on something and it's like, okay. And then, you know, suddenly COVID happens or the kids come home or like, you know, whatever it is. And we say, okay, we have to pivot. I've had people who were working with me on weight loss that suddenly get pregnant. And that actually was the goal. Like, I want to lose weight and get pregnant. Okay. But and one woman was hysterical with me. She said, like, crying, I got pregnant faster. I wanted to be at a lower weight. And I was like, okay. So we actually had to spend some time. I had to call in a colleague, a therapist. Like, we had to do all that around and say, hey, we got to shift here, right? Because getting and staying healthy isn't a singular path. It requires consistently assessing. And that's how we can then personalize. And the value, the opportunity there is then when somebody has the ability to work with you, has the ability to work with me. I have a network of providers we refer people to. When they have a person, as opposed to trying to do it on their own, reading a book or following a program that somebody else created or following what an influencer says worked for them, when they have somebody to work with, that person is asking them those questions, you can actually dive in, you can anticipate what's going to change and or be able to pivot much more quickly. It's like any business. It's like anything. When you can pivot more quickly and you're built on a solid foundation, you're going to see better outcomes and you're not going to see those losses or I have to start all over, you know, or that. So I think that's probably, to me, that's one of the biggest struggles. I'll tell you the other massive struggle. The massive struggle. So I have two that I'm going to share. One is that most people, when it comes to their nutrition, or definitely when it comes to their weight, have a failure mindset. They feel that they have failed. Me,
yes,
10, 15 years was a failure. Like, I can't do this. No, nobody had ever said, hey, Ashley, it's not actually not even what you're eating. You need some probiotics. You need some glutamine. You need some magnesium. We got to heal that gut, right? So one of the most important things that we need to do is help people understand you all are not a hot mess. I promise you, like 20 years, I've never met somebody who is an entire hot mess. You've been trying. So you've been trying. You're not a failure. What we want to do here is we want to identify actually what you're doing that's already better. And we want to build on that. We don't want to, it's not this revolution, it's an evolution, in better. So I think that's really important. And then the third one in terms of struggles is the biggest epidemic, pandemic that is out there today, I refer to it as infobesity. There is just too much information. And we're constantly like this, like getting information, right? You might even be listening to me now and thinking like, oh, I never thought about that. Stop. Yes. Don't take more in. We have to become better vetters. I don't know you at all. Do not take what I am saying here today and go do it, but take what I'm saying here and understand you need to work with someone who is going to personalize this for you. Because I'm going to be able to figure out, do you need more folate? Should that folate be coming from vegetables? Are you open to eating those vegetables? Do you need a methylfolate supplement? Do we actually need to improve your B12 and your B2 and your choline? And how are we going to do that in a way that's delicious and affordable for you? That's my job, right? We have to assess your body and figure that out. More information is not going to help you. If you go into a search bar and you ask for things about keto, or you ask for intermittent fasting, or any of these other things, you are getting answers that are, if I'm on a bullseye, that are out here. And to win, we need to be in here, right?
Exactly.
So that's another struggle. So totally preaching to the choir to you, my dear, because you're like, this is why I do it. But those are the struggles. Yeah.
But you're on the other side. You get into more of the depth part. I do more of the holistic whole life and start plugging in things. And then you come back with creating this brand new nutrition program that we're going to talk about here in a second, where you have a ton of different resources and folks that can really help people and help one another. And that's what we're going to be talking about right after this break. So stick around.
Fairfield Federal. When it comes to our customers and our community, we go above and beyond to help. Our people make the difference.
We were retiring from Tucson, Arizona, and we made a retirement trip out around Ohio, having decided that's where we wanted to be. And we came across this town called Lancaster, and we fell in love with the downtown area where the fountain is, and the memorials and the flags and all the stuff. And we looked around and I said, there's our bank right there.
There's something to be said about a community bank in your hometown.
Right. If you live in the community, you should do business in the community as much as possible. So it makes sense to bank with the community bank where you live.
Fairfield Federal is the bank to be at. If you live in this town, or any town actually, you want to bank at a local home bank. And the employees are happy here. They're conversant. Customer service is through the roof. There's nothing more you could ask for.
Personal or business banking, whatever you need, we take it seriously because we know you do. Stop by today at any of our 3 locations and see why the difference is clear. Fairfield Federal Savings and Loan specializes in banking that revolves around you.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Hey guys, we're back. We've been talking to Ashley Koff, registered dietitian, author, speaker, oh my goodness, and founder of a great new program called the Better Nutrition Program. Ashley, we were just talking about all of these struggles that people face with their nutrition, weight loss, their health, but you found a way to pull all of these different resources that you've stacked up over the years. And tell us about this program that you've created.
Yeah, there's a part of me that just got, so frustrated on behalf of my clients, and then also a little annoyed with the work that I was personally doing. So I had left Los Angeles, I went to DC. It was a couple administrations ago, and I was going to just change things, right? Like, I'm a doer. I was like, all right, I'm coming to DC. We're going to change this. Enough of this how many calories you should have and all this other stuff. Let's change it up. Well, I changed it up very successfully for a lot of our congressional representatives and, ambassadors from around the world who hired me as personal clients, but they weren't willing to pass the laws and change. It just wasn't happening. I wasn't seeing change happen. So I'm scratching my head and I'm like, we have access to more information. And now I'm also working with these companies that are helping us track things and that are looking at our blood and that are looking at our poop and that are asking people questions and doing all this stuff. But they're actually really not personalizing nutrition. So you can be getting, you can wear a continuous glucose monitor, which is going to tell us like all day long, it's continuous, it's checking in on your blood glucose. So that may tell us what's making things rise or fall. It might even show you how your sleep or what you eat or your hormones are affecting things. But if you just start changing your food based on the glucose, you're liable to make a lot of changes that are not better for your body. So an example of that is I had somebody who I remember it was an interview, and he said, "Oh, I'm having, a big bowl of brown rice with vegetables, and my glucose, went through the roof," which so surprised me because brown rice is so healthy. So I got rid of that, and now I'm just having cauliflower. And I was like, "Oh, good luck with that." So on the one hand, cauliflower, great nutrients. We got potassium coming in. Like, there's so many benefits. And yes, your continuous glucose monitor, your glucose went down, so you weren't having that higher amount, but you lost out on B vitamins, magnesium, some, different omegas. And it wasn't that it was the brown rice's fault. You were just having way too much of it. So what if we had come in and said, "Hey, why don't we have a quarter of a cup of brown rice or a half a cup of brown rice? Why don't I throw in some hemp seeds there? Or maybe you like some salmon or, something else." And we can actually improve your nutrient balance as well as optimize your glucose, right? Or my favorite are the trackers, like, MyFitnessPal, or I actually worked on Jawbone's food score. So Jawbone doesn't exist anymore, so we can talk about it. Yes. But it was a great food score. We loved the idea of helping people, track their score. But then it was like, yeah, that actually scoring it actually isn't personalizing it, because I don't want you to have a score. I need to figure out, what does your body need? Mm-hmm. And at the same time, I'd become really successful, and I give a lot of talks, and I teach a lot of practitioners, and I teach a lot of individuals. And I was telling everybody, do you know 70% of Americans, in particular women, are not meeting their magnesium needs? In fact, like their baseline, their RDA.
Yes. Yes.
And what that means, and your RDAs are not for optimal health. They aren't so we're like happy, smiling, pooping, where our weight's where we want it to be, and recovering well and great and sleeping great. No, it's to prevent disease, right? That's the level that we were talking about. 70% are not meeting that. Well, magnesium exists in our cells to turn off the stress response. So when we get stressed like this, you can think of it like a muscle. When we get stressed, that's calcium. Calcium comes into our cells, and we need magnesium in there to kick it out so that we relax, right? So what's something that's kind of happened, especially this last year? Like, people are having a little
bit stress. Right?
Yeah, a little bit of stress.
Yes.
So I'm in my head thinking, and this was about 5 years ago, life was still really stressful, on that part. And I was like, what happens though, is when I talk to people about that, I've myself contributed, no joke, helped make magnesium the #1 selling supplement, right? For ongoing. It was just doing so well, because when somebody hears about this, they're like, I'm going to take a magnesium supplement. Well, what if I told you that when you take a shaft of wheat and you refine it into white flour, 70% of the magnesium is lost? Or when you take milk chocolate and you upgrade it to dark chocolate, real dark chocolate, like 80% or even cacao nibs, 50% of the magnesium is increased. What if I told you eating cashews could increase your magnesium? What if I told you having pumpkin seed? There are so many ways we can improve our magnesium needs. We might not need a supplement.
Yes.
What if I also told you that the real problem might be that you're getting in too much calcium and your doctor and everybody else is telling you to take 1,200 milligrams of calcium as a supplement? No, the original research is our bodies need about 1,000. So I might have given up dairy, but if I'm drinking almond milk, it's got 50% more calcium than milk if I'm buying one, not if I'm making it at home. So I need to know all of that about you to turn around and figure out how are we going to get you enough magnesium and what is enough magnesium for you? Because for me, especially after a day where I do this, which is stress, but it's good stress, where I do stress, where it's like, what do you mean my website's not working or my Wi-Fi might not work? Where, I'm stressing my body by doing a HIIT workout, or I'm stressing my body by calling my mom, or whatever it is on that part, right? So for me, I like my magnesium needs, and they change if I'm closer to my period, whatever I'm doing. And so I know when I need to take a magnesium bath, when I maybe need to rub a little magnesium oil on the shoulder, but I also know what my baseline, how I need to get that magnesium in, and then I can reassess it based on seasonal changes. We might change what we eat, just like when we change our clothing. We can also change it if we have a lifestyle or a health issue come up, right? Like if suddenly I'm traveling and I get to finally go back on a plane again, I need magnesium on the plane and after the plane. Otherwise I don't poop, like just being really blunt on that part, right? So how do we go about doing those things? So what I ended up doing was creating a quiz. I said to myself, if I can ask you, and if we can ask your viewers some quick, easy questions, do you eat these foods, right? If I'm keto, I'm not eating, or if I'm super low carb, I'm not eating grains, I'm not having starchy vegetables, I'm not having beans, I may be having minimal amount of non-starchy vegetables. Wow, maybe my nuts and seeds are kind of giving me some magnesium, but I might not be meeting those needs. Now, on the flip side, if I'm plant-based, I might be getting in all of those, and I might be having higher carbohydrate intake. I need to know that. So when we know that, and we also look at your supplements, all your supplements, including your fibers, your protein powders, all that, and we look at your medical history and some lifestyle questions like how stressed are you? Are you sleeping well? What's your travel? Like all of these things. A qualified practitioner can actually turn around and look at that and say, hey, here's what I think your needs are. So here's what looks good. Remember, we talked about not being a failure. Here's what you're already doing better. Now let's build on it. And then when I had done that and people were like, okay, great, Ashley, how do I do this? So I was like, I need a meal planner. Now I need a menu. Now I don't need a menu to tell you what to eat Monday through Sunday and go through that. I need something that shows you how you can eat at least 400 milligrams of magnesium in a day. And then kind of like I do with the kids' school lunches, if you tell me, you know what, I'm just not going to eat that, then we turn around and we say, okay, now we need a supplement. So it helps us figure out what I call our total nutrition. And it also lets us continuously reassess on that part. So especially during this last year at home, I had people reassessing their magnesium every 2 weeks because it helped us to see, are we meeting the body's needs that way and have the needs changed? I love doing our rainbow evaluation. I do it with kids all the time. I love doing the rainbow evaluation every season because it's fun. It's inspiring. I mean, how many times has somebody eat the rainbow or even told someone to eat the rainbow? Great. But how many times has somebody actually shown you, are you eating the rainbow? When I did my own rainbow assessment, guess what? Goose egg, a big fat 0 in the orange foods. I'm not against sweet potato. I think like it's great. I like carrots. I don't love them cooked. There's a lot of great stuff that's out there that's orange. I just don't eat it. So one of the things that helped me look at is number one, maybe I need a turmeric supplement on a daily basis, or I could start to incorporate that in, if I'm somewhere like I happen to love turmeric root. So I just make a quick, I put it in a blender with some water and make a quick shot of it to like get me some of that in if I'm home. But that helped me know maybe it's not as good. I should still try to eat a sweet potato, but better, not perfect. Let's try to get that rainbow in more often, right? Yes. And let's ensure that we have goals that are personalized to us, that I'm not just reading about how good a certain green vegetable is, or more importantly, if you're a parent or a caregiver, you're not super frustrated if your child isn't eating certain foods. Look for colors in fruits, look for colors in spices, look for colors in vegetables, and we can find ways for them to get in their better rainbow and challenge them. I will tell you what, kids will eat things if there's a prize at the end. I will eat things if there's a prize at the end, right? I had to do it for my own, I felt like I come on and talk about the rainbow evaluation if I didn't like up level my orange game, but
right.
There's a challenge in there, right? Like walk your talk. So what we do with our tools, and we have most recently our B vitamins and choline, which is really important. And then actually in April, the end of April, we're launching our cancer risk reduction tool. We have a fertility tool. We have men's health. We have women's health. We have ones that are like, and then we have guides and things that are super specific, like your lipoprotein A. If you have familial history of cardiovascular disease, all of us know somebody who seemingly was very healthy. They were thin, they exercised, et cetera. And they call it the widowmaker, right? They die or they have a severe heart attack. Well, we know there's genetic implications, right? We also know that once you understand your genetics or your genomics, there are things we can do with our diet and our lifestyle. So we are able to then put those things together. So it's really important to, in these days where everyone's selling somebody CBD or somebody's telling you, to take these adaptogens, or somebody's saying like, hey, actually 5 cups of coffee is great for you. Maybe, or maybe it's bad for you, but how do you figure out what's better for you, right?
Right.
And the way that we do that is we assess at a personal level. And that's what the Better Nutrition program at its core is going to enable personalization for everyone, because it has to be democratized. It has to be available. The price point of things should not be that you have to go get some gadget. You don't have to have an Oura ring. You don't have to have like all of these expensive trackers.
Right.
You can use them and your practitioner can use them, but you can move yourself so close and hit that bullseye most often without anything other than, just really doing the assessment. The other part is it empowers you going in then to your doctor, to your dietitian, to your coach, to your trainer, et cetera, to say, this is me, right? This is who I am. And this is what I want to work with. It makes all of us do our jobs so much better, right?
Exactly.
So
and I love that too, because that opens the door for what people like yourself and what I try to do and put out into the world. Yeah. If people would like to learn more about the program, where can they find the information?
Yeah, come to the betternutritionprogram.com, or you can find us on social media. And the one thing to note is that we're so focused on practitioners right now because we want them to have these tools. You can find us on all of the social media at the Better Nutrition Program, or you can go to our website, thebetternutritionprogram.com. Depending on when you're viewing this, you may see that our website, you may go there and be like, wait, this is all for practitioners. It is. The business model that I have right now is to make sure that practitioners have these tools so they can work with you and with all of their patients to personalize nutrition. So one thing that you can do is you can share the information with a practitioner. You can say, if you work with a coach or a dietitian or a doctor or somebody, hey, I think you'd like these tools or I'd like to use these tools with you, et cetera, and have them get it so that they can use it. But the other thing that we have is you'll see our provider network. It says providers, and you can go there and you can click on, you can either submit a request to all of our providers, or you can click on different people who look interesting, or any of those, or you can type in a tag like Ohio or acupuncturist or things like that, and you can find practitioners to connect with that are using our tools. So they've gone through the training, they know how to use the tools, and are able to do that piece. Now, if you're looking to do something, maybe you're like, yeah, but I just want to be able to do this. We are happy to connect you with the tools. You'll just have to reach out to us through our contact section and let us know what you're looking for.
Very good. Thank you so very much, Ashley, for coming on the show today. And until next time, we will see you soon. Thanks so much for watching.